I'm back from the National Sports Collectors Convention, and I got a lot of mail while I was gone. It's time to open up all of this and see what I got. Welcome back, comic book fans. This is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and today I've got a good old-fashioned mail call for you. We have a ton of boxes right here, and what we're going to do is we're going to get into these and find out what I got while I was away in Chicago at the National Sports Collectors Convention. So just sit back, enjoy this episode. It's going to be a hodgepodge of different things, but we've got some great books in here, as well as maybe something a little bit different from comic books. But before we begin, definitely hit that like button, slap the subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any of these great episodes every Monday and Friday at 10 a.m. All right, guys, enough of that. Let's get into the books. All right, guys, like I said, we've got a lot of different boxes here from a lot of different sources. We are going to get in each one of these, but before I begin, I'll tell you about where they're coming from. They're from all kinds of my favorite places to go shopping. We've got a CGC unboxing with a couple books. We've got books from Heritage Auctions. We've got an order from Whatnot. We've got an eBay order, and something I haven't done in a little bit, but we've got a claim sale off of Instagram. So it is just, like I said, a hodgepodge. So let's start off. Everybody comes to these for the CGC unboxing, so let's just start with that. It is 2 books right here. Let's just get into it. I've got the knife. And one thing I do like, when they send only a couple books back like this, they've got this, I guess it's a literature box. It has got these double wide lip sides right here that these boxes are really secure. I love holding onto these once I get these back in here. In fact, when I sell some of my books and I send out more than one book at a time, one slab at a time, I will use these boxes over and over again. Let's see if we can get into this. All right. So we're opening up. Typical Heritage Auctions here. What they do is they put a couple boards around the books, they rubber band it, and then they wrap it with a couple pieces of bubble wrap. It's pretty secure. I've never had any problems up to this point, knock on wood. And let's just get into this. Now, don't get too excited here. This was not a straight-up CGC order of 2 books I sent in raw to get graded. These were 2 books that I simply sent in to get reholdered. So, sorry, nothing exciting. In fact, you've already seen these books. They were probably probably from Heritage Auctions. And I'm just going to show it to you. Captain Marvel, number 29. It was a 9.4 before. It's a 9.4 again. It was in the old label. In fact, both of these books were. And I just wanted to get it updated. And that looks really good in there. It's nice and centered. It is got that beautiful label. Definitely makes it look better than some of the old slabs. And the reason I sent these books in, both of them are reholders, as I said. I don't just send these orders in when I want to. What I normally do is when I have another order going in at that time, I will bundle a couple books or whatever books I need to do a reholdering. At that time, I will send those in at the same time and package them all together so there's only one shipping going out, one package going out at one time. Plus, I usually send it in with a signature series signing comic, and those you mark on the box for the initials of the artist or the writer, whoever, the creator, actor, whoever. You write on that box as it goes in the initials so that the receiving team knows that that box has got to be opened up immediately. So yes, I've got my books in there that are going to be pulled out for the signing, but also in that is an order for a reholder. And sometimes the reholder order, if you just sent that in, may sit there for a while. But in this case, it gets into the system a little bit quicker. That doesn't mean that once it's in the system, it may go fast or anything like that, but at least it gets that box opened up and being processed at the very least. So this came back, I think it was less than a month to get these 2 books back. As I said, the first one here is Captain Marvel number 29. this is probably one of my favorite Jim Starlin covers. This, when you say the words Captain Marvel to me, this is what I picture. I picture this cover right here. And then the second book is right up the same alley. Let's set this down. It's Captain Marvel number 30. Now, these issues here, again, this is a 9.4. These, no surprise, that's what these books were. Again, another reholder. Both of these are part of that classic early Thanos storyline. In fact, both of these issues have got some of the earliest appearances of Thanos that will be out there. Out of that storyline, that other issue, number 29, is actually pretty popular, mostly because of that cover. It's also the first appearance, or the first time that Captain Marvel gains his cosmic awareness, which is, I guess, an additional power. In this issue, this issue, and I think issue 32, maybe 33. There's two of these that are probably the least desirable out of that whole Thanos storyline from issues 26 to 34. But it is still part of that storyline, and I did want to get this. It's part of the goals for this year is to get all of these graded, from all of those issues graded. I would be satisfied at a 9.0, but I've been trying to pick up some of these a little bit higher grade. It doesn't bother me to get these in a 9.4. I mean, yes, I'd love to have these as a 9.6, and a little too expensive for my blood for 9.8s on any of these, but that's okay. I'm not really shooting for that. 9.4s on these are perfectly acceptable, and these look a lot better now that they're in the new case. All right, so that was it for for CGC. So not much of a CGC unboxing for you guys. I'm sorry, that's not too terribly exciting. But we got some other books here. Let's just go on. The next thing on the box, on the order here, let's just do this one. I didn't show this one to you earlier. You can tell it's definitely not a comic book, but it is something that I ordered while I was at the National Sports Collectors Convention. Now, if you didn't catch my last episode where I went to the show and I did the whole episode about looking for comics at the largest sports collectors convention in the world. In fact, that show was so attended, it ended up being the largest sports collectors convention in the world, of all time, in history actually. It ended up setting a record for how many people were there, and one of the things you guys may not know, I'm a huge Miami Dolphins fan, but it doesn't mean I have to have everything Miami Dolphins. There are certain key players that I cherish, and they're classic players. Some of them are Hall of Famers, some of them are not. But one of the things I've been trying to slowly collect is some of my favorite players on mini helmets. And of course, I've got Dan Marino and the Marx Brothers, and I've got Don Shula as well. And it's not something I'm always looking for, but I was at the Sports Collectors Convention, and I'm going, okay, well, there's a few more really big key Miami Dolphins that I need to get on mini helmets. And hey, I'm at the largest collectors convention in the world. I need to find these things. And I did. And I saw the prices that they had, and I'm going, that seems a little high. So let's do a little price comparison, just like we do with comic books. Let's get on eBay. Let's see if we can find it any cheaper. And the answer is yeah. I found this, and I actually ordered 2 different helmets while I was there that I found cheaper on eBay than I did at that show. But let's just open this up, and I'll show you what I've got here. So you know it's a mini helmet. The question is, who's it signed by? Okay, well, it didn't come with the case, but I didn't order it for that. This looks like to me like somebody had gotten it signed. They did not get it authenticated necessarily. I don't see any authentication card. Let me dig through this real quick. Hang on. Oh, I take that back. They do have an authentication card from Victory Collectibles, but honestly, COAs are worthless unless it's by somebody that you trust and someone's got a name brand out there. I mean, even if it's somebody like that, they can still make mistakes, but this is one that This doesn't mean anything to me, but I will probably take it to the next show that I go to and have somebody like JSA or PSA, probably JSA, authenticate it as well. So let me show you who I got here. Ended up getting Bob Greasy on a mini helmet, but it is a retro 1972 helmet here. So let's show you the autograph up there. And it's even one that's signed with the Hall of Fame from 1990. So that's really nice. That ends up, that's going to go nicely in my, well, doesn't go good right there. I'll just hold it for a second. This will go nicely in my collection of Dolphins mini helmets at this point. So that's real nice. I will have to get a display though for this, because this one did not come in the box or the display that these helmets come in. So I'll definitely have to get that just so it'll present a little bit better. I don't want to get dirt and dust all over it. So that is my non-sports thing that I got in this haul. Hope you guys enjoy that, even though this is usually a comic book channel. All right, switching back over to comic books, let's go to Whatnot. Now, this is actually already opened. I put it back in here so I don't have to cut it again. But I ended up getting this from somebody new. I happened on their channel the other day. Again, I go on and off of Whatnot. Honestly, I need to stay off of it because I don't need to keep buying comics all the time. I need to sell comics, honestly. But I hopped back on there. I happened to see the sale. I kind of tend to go to the sellers that are doing Bronze Age or Silver Age books more than anything. I'm not too big on the modern, except for a few sellers that I like. But I happened on this one. It was a Bronze Age seller. They were called Dayton Comic Book Bros. And the books that they had looked really good. And I said, okay, well, like I normally do with a new seller that I use on Whatnot, I'll give them a shot. I'll do an order. We'll do several books, and we'll see if how they describe the books matches up with the way they described them, and that will tell me if I go back to them or not. Now, I did follow them, so I can find them and go back, but we'll find out. So the first book I ended up picking up was a new copy of The Killing Joke, first print. Alan Moore, Brian Ballard, the classic story with Barbara Gordon getting shot and paralyzed. It all started right here. One of the all-time great Batman stories, and I have this copy. I have a copy of this, but it was not a 9.8 candidate, and the description from the seller was that this was just a spectacular copy. And I felt like at the time the price on it was really good. We're taking a shot. We'll get it out. The front, as I looked at it earlier. I haven't taken it out of the bag and board yet, but the front of it, especially where I can see around the spine, looks really good. It looks really promising. I'll hold my breath as I open up the back and take a look at the back to see if there's any more color rub or anything like that. But right now, this is pretty much spot on the way it was described. And I ended up getting two more. And what was funny was I've been looking for, this is one of my goals, is to get a 9.8 candidate for this book. And I'm trying to recall how they described the book on the show. But I'm going to tell you that price is pretty good, but the condition is not going to get that 9.8. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if they described it as a 9.8 candidate. I don't think they did, but I definitely don't recall them talking about the two spine ticks that I see on this great issue of Spider-Man 294. Don't get me wrong, this is still a really nice copy. It may get a 9.4, but as you guys know, this market is really down. Even on a great book like this. Book like this is a 9.8 is still a $350 to $400 comic, but 9.6s in this can drop below $100. And 9.4s are even worse than that. So this is a book that will probably, I'll clean and press it at some point and see where I think it'll evaluate, and I probably will just hold on to it. At some point, the Craven movie will come out. This will come back, but this will not get that 9.8. So the hunt for Craven continues for issue 294. We will finally get a 9.8 on that eventually. And then the last one I picked up, definitely the condition was described as really good, but I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this and I'm going, there's some color rub on here. I'm really going to have to take a look and see if it's a printer defect kind of color rub or color rub that happened because of being stacked. But it's still a really nice copy. The corners, all four corners are really sharp. It's just there's a couple spots with color rub even on the front cover. And it is this classic issue of X-Men 135, the first, to me, the first real appearance, first full appearance even, of Dark Phoenix. The issue before this is the issue they say it's her first appearance, but it's in the last panel. And only on that last panel, just like Hulk 180 is the first cameo appearance of Wolverine, that other issue should be considered the first cameo of Dark Phoenix. This should be considered the first real appearance, first full appearance of the Dark Phoenix. And they said this was a really, really good copy, but going over it on that episode, I do not recall them talking about how much color rub is in a couple spots here, and there's one up here. And we'll get a loop and magnify that, and we'll see if what kind of color rub that really is. It may just be a printing deformity. I don't know. But little disappointed in that. So my overall assessment real quick on the spot is that I'm not sure if I'll be going back to these guys. Maybe. It's for a first order, this was on the slightly disappointing side, except for that very first one with Batman with the Killing Joke. So overall, not bad, but I don't know, not enough maybe to get me going back. But that was it for Dayton Comic Book Bros. I will probably check out their channel again. Truth be told, I'll probably give them another chance down the road. All right, so the next thing up, what are we going to do? I've got them written down. Let's do this right here. This came in just as I was getting ready to film this. Before I got back in, I was getting ready to film this, and this was the last thing that came in right before I decided to do this haul. Most of the stuff came while I was at the National, but this came just as I got back and getting ready to do the haul. It is the Instagram order, and this is from RH Midwest Comics. And if you guys are familiar with them on Facebook, they have a great Facebook channel. In fact, that's how I found out about this claim sale. It was over on Instagram, and they ran their Instagram sale, their claim sale, just like Elite Comics 11, just like Grail's Comics. They're live there. Now, this was his own books. This wasn't him going to some other show, to some other store, and trying to sell somebody else's comics. These were his comics. And they had a lot of great slabs, and they had a lot of great regular comics, and I decided, okay, the Raws look really good and look really promising, and from his description, and they had some really good books. Let's just get into it, and I'll do the reveal, and I'll show you which book I picked up. There were a couple there that I was interested in, but I kind of held back a little bit and decided, okay, let's just get the one book. Let's see how this goes. Again, this is a case of first book I've bought from RH Midwest Comics. I'm a big follower of them on YouTube. I love watching their channel. And if you guys get a chance, definitely check them out on the channel there. But inside the eBay bag, what they've done is they've used some USPS supplies. They've cut some of the boxes down so it would form this really sturdy box, or basically this book was not going to get bent, and I'm just trying to find out where the book is. It's somewhere in here. Okay, I see tape. It has to be around the tape, right? All right, let's try to do this without cutting the comic book. I'm real big on, I put tape on boards like this I will try to use I'll use painter's tape, but I will also put the little tabs with an arrow so you know where to pull, so you don't miss. You don't bend the book. You don't put spine ticks and things. But, okay, there it is. It is taped to these two boards. It is very secure. And let's cut this off of here. I'm not big on packaging tape on bags and boards either. Obviously, I'm going to have to replace that bag and board at some point. But let's just cut it off of here for right now. And I think you guys saw a price tag that was on there. And I will tell you this, I sent in an offer that they accepted that was definitely below that price. And here, let me show you what I got. Actually, I'm going to look at it first. Ooh. Yeah, this is a spectacular copy, by the way. XMen 109, the first appearance of the Guardian. Of course, this was the first appearance of Alpha Flight, not the team, but the first member of the Guardian. And classic key comic from the early run with John Byrne on the X-Men. I do have a copy of this that I bought, and I will tell you, I sent more on that copy than this one, and this one right now is looking better than that other copy. And it again is in that, it's in the press. Well, it's not in the press. It's in the shop to be pressed. The other one is. This one will go in there as well. Part of my 2023 goal is to get every John Byrne X-Men comic from issues, was it 108, all the way up to 143, graded in a 9.6 or higher grade. And I'm doing pretty good on that. And you guys might say, well, why aren't you just doing 9.8s? Well, one, 9.6s are actually kind of affordable on most of the issues. And some of the keys like this, it can get expensive. The first appearance of Alpha Flight can get expensive, or 129 and 130 with Dazzler, with Kitty Pryde and White Queen. Those are expensive issues. And some of the other ones can be kind of expensive at 9.6 if you're just buying them straight up. But a lot of them you can buy very reasonably with a 9.6. And so I've been very happy with that. I don't think this will get a 9.8, but man, it is really sharp corners. Right off, I'm not picking up any spine ticks, and the corners look really sharp. This is a really nice copy. So right now, I'm going to say I'm giving a thumbs up to RH Midwest Comics. I will definitely be going back to you guys and watching for more claim sales, because the way you described this was maybe better than, well, the book's better than the way you described, and you described it as being really, really a nice copy. So I'm super happy with this. This, just like Elite Comics 11, Grails Comics, the way they work is they do the claim sale. You, right there live, you put in a claim for it, and they will get around to sending you, when they say they'll send you an invoice, all they're doing is messaging you with an email address to send a PayPal friends and family payment to. And I can get a little scared with the friends and family thing, but I do the same thing with things. It cuts down, you don't have all the fees involved. It's a way of getting around it, and I get it. But it can be a little scary. I mean, what I paid for this wasn't a tremendous amount of money, but I know that other people on YouTube, like, for example, if you guys have just watched Sticky Goose with his most recent video, one of his videos he just put out, he had an issue with Elite Comics 11, and it's a little scary. He wants confirmation that when we're sending out money like that, you kind of want to make sure that it's going to the right person. You want to, it's just this weird email address that you're getting, and there's no guarantees that once you send that money out, it's gone. There's no getting it back with friends and family. So that's a case of putting a little trust in this. And so I get one book. You didn't see me get multiple books on this. So again, real happy with RH Midwest Comics. This is a spectacular copy. I look forward to getting this graded at some point. All right, so where are we? I'm looking on my list. I have a little list written there. What's next? And it looks like we are down to the last thing, and it is from Heritage Auctions. And honestly, today's show originally was going to be 100% Heritage Auctions, But I'm going to postpone that show for another week. I've got things that have been coming in over the last 2 months that I haven't shown you guys yet. I kind of wanted to save up, and we'll do a Heritage Auctions a show, but this one came in right on top of everything else here. So I said, this is the latest one that came in from Heritage. Let's just go ahead and open it. We'll add it to this video right here, and let's see what we've got. Actually, I know what I've got, but let me show you what... I'll show you what I'm getting from Heritage these days. It kind of fits in with some of the goals of 2023. Some of it is, these are good classic books that you should kind of have in your collection anyway. And I don't think, I'm looking on the list, and I don't think I've got, actually, I've got one of these on the list. I didn't have the other two. Now, if you guys have ever gotten anything from Heritage, I actually like the way they package things. It isn't overcomplicated. It is taped up pretty good. And in fact, when I sell slabs, I package up in almost the exact same way that Heritage Auction does. I use the exact same box, and I bubble wrap. And the only thing I do in addition to it is I do add some extra cardboard on top and bottom that can add a little bit more security to the box. But that's the only extra thing that I do. But I was inspired by Heritage Auctions on how I package things. Alright, so while I've got 2 raw books in here, let's see if I can, yeah. So I picked up a copy of this. First time I've ever owned this. This is Thor 126. This is not the first appearance of Hercules, but it's an early appearance, and it is the classic Jack Kirby cover that has been homaged over and over. The classic Thor 337 by Walt Simonson homaged this to begin with at the very beginning of the run with Beta Ray Bill. But this is just absolutely love this cover. This is part of that storyline where Pluto tricks Hercules into becoming the ruler of Hades, and the only way he can get out of this contract that he signed is to have someone battle on his behalf. And here you go, you've got Thor, and like I said, this is the beginning of that, I think the beginning of that storyline. But classic cover. This is a VG fine copy, and the reason I picked up a copy that was a little bit lower grade like this was I think there's going to be some value once you get this into a press. I'm hoping that I can bump these up a little bit into that mid-range, definitely into that 6.0 range. That's what I'm hoping for. I've noticed that my history with Heritage is that their grading is definitely on the conservative side. So I'm hoping I can get a little bit better out of these. And I felt like I bought these at good values for VG fine range. The next one I got was on a more recent kind of thing that I'm on these days with DC Comics. And I have added this late to the goals list, but I'm kind of picking up several books from DC, old Silver Age books that are they're Justice Society related. They don't have to be the Crisis books from Justice League, even though that's some of the ones I'm picking up, but I'm digging the books that have Justice League crossover type things. And so I picked this up. This is Flash 137, and you've got the Golden Age Flash battling the Silver Age Flash. And of course you've got Randall Savage there in the background. That's one of my all-time favorite villains. But in this, I don't know if I've even read this book, but this is definitely one of those classic crossover stories with the JSA members, or in this case, just the Golden Age Flash. So I picked that up. Again, this is in a VG fine grade from Heritage Auctions. Again, I hope to bump this up just a little bit and get that into a solid mid-range. All right, so the last book for today is something that's been on my 2023 goals list, and it is one that I picked up mostly because it was already graded and it was well below fair market value, and a lot easier than going out and finding a raw copy, getting it clean and pressed, and sending it into CGC to hope to get that grade that you want. So I ended up picking this up. This is, like I said, the last book from the order today, the last book I got from Heritage Auctions on this particular order. Let me just show it to you. It is a 9.6 XMen 117. Now, this is not a huge book, but I've been having trouble finding this book out at shows in the grade that I want. I keep finding them, and I find them at anywhere from decent prices to maybe a little bit overpriced, but I'm not finding it in the condition that I want. So when I happened on this particular auction, they had a 9.6. It definitely, when I ended up buying this, got it for well under fair market value at the time. And sometimes it's just easier, just like I did that Fantastic Four 244. It was easier just to go ahead and buy it than to keep trying to get a graded version by doing it yourself. So happy to add this to the John Byrne X-Men run that I've been trying to collect, just like that X-Men 109 that you saw earlier today. This one's already graded though, so it definitely is one that has met the goal of the 2023 goals list. Another one of these is checked off. I think I'm up to 23 or 24 now out of the 34 John Byrne issues. I think it's 34. I think I've got that number right. Anyway, regardless, happy to have this in the collection. This particular issue right here, you've got, of course, it's Chris Claremont, John Byrne interior, and you've got a Dave Cochran cover, just to give you guys some information on it. I never was a big fan of this cover, but the inside, it's got that wonderful John Byrne artwork. You've got the first appearance of the Shadow King and the origin of Professor X. So it really is kind of a minor key issue, but it isn't super expensive. But again, happy to get this for well below market value for a 9.6. So that was it for everything today. That was the last book, the last order. Pretty good unboxing. It was a good sampling of all the things that I end up buying on usually on a weekly basis, not all the time. I don't do a lot of Instagram live claim sales, but I took a chance because that particular seller was somebody I follow on YouTube a lot. It's one of the channels I watch all the time. So I was super happy with that pickup of that X-Men 109. Actually, overall, pretty happy overall. The only disappointments, maybe a couple of those issues from the One Whatnot seller. But good pickups overall. But you guys let me know. What do you think about the books that I picked up today? Just leave me a comment in the comment section below and give me your thoughts on it. And if you're ever interested in any of the books that I feature on the channel, definitely reach out to me at collectorauctions@yahoo.com or DM me on Instagram. Or if you're just interested in seeing what I have for sale right now, go on to my eBay store or my Shortbox page. Both of those links are in the description below. But that's it, guys. I'm out of here. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Maybe next week we'll get into the total show about Heritage Auctions and some things I've been picking up over the last couple of months. They are starting to pile up a little bit. Today's haul box from Heritage Auctions was simply the one that came in on top of all of these, and that's the only reason that I ended up opening that today. But hopefully in one of the next show, or maybe the show after that, we'll do that Heritage Auctions unboxing. But until then, you guys take care, have a great day, and remember, every comic has a story.